Hello and welcome to my podcast, English Learning Through Discourse, where I answer this or that questions for English language learners. What's your opinion? Let me know in the comments. Today's topic is, which would you prefer to swim in, a pool or a lake? For me, deadpan, easy answer, first response, lake, most definitely. Now, I grew up in Denver, Colorado, where, it's next to the Rocky Mountains. There are lots of lakes. The lakes are very cold and often, in the range of 7 to 10,000 feet in elevation, and they're alpine lakes and they're freezing. So growing up, I didn't do a lot of lake swimming, but it does get very hot in the summertime in Denver, Colorado, and I love to swim. We would go to the pool all summer long to keep cool, to have fun, and so I kind of grew up, swimming in a pool. And the lakes that they have in the cities, where the elevation is a little bit more reasonable, it's still, a mile high, which is what Denver is famous for, is being a mile high above sea level, which is 5,280 feet. The lakes in and around the Denver area are not super awesome to swim in. So, everybody swims in pools. However, I moved to Seattle, Washington in 2013, and I lived there for 5 years. And they also have mountain ranges out there called the Cascades. And those mountains, like the highest peak will be, 4,000, 5,000 feet above sea level. So at the base of a lot of those mountains, they're still considered alpine lakes, but they're not as cold. Still freshwater lakes, still cold, but not quite as cold as in Colorado. So one of my favorite things to do is to go on a day hike and jump in the lake at the end of the hike, because you get so hot, like hiking for miles or, kilometers up this mountain, and then jumping into the lake at the end is so satisfying. It's a great way to cool off. The water is fresh and clear. You can just see right through it. One of my favorite things to do on my birthday is to get all of my friends together and get a bunch of floaties and just go to the lake and just hang out all day in the lake. And in Seattle, it doesn't get as hot there as it does in Colorado. So, there might be 2 weeks in the summertime where it's above 80 degrees, or I don't know what that is in Celsius, but where it gets hot enough where you have to swim, like you want to get into the water because you're so hot. But in Seattle, people just swim because they want to swim, maybe not necessarily because they need to, because it's so hot. But then there's also Lake Union, Lake Washington. These are not alpine lakes. They're actually lakes that are in the city area of Seattle. And Lake Washington is probably my favorite lake to swim in because it's the biggest lake in the Seattle area, between Lake Union, what's that other lake called? Green Lake, and Lake Washington. Lake Washington is the big lake, and it's warm. The water is so warm, especially in the late summertime, much warmer than an alpine lake, maybe more similar to what you might find in a swimming pool. But yeah, definitely for me, I prefer freshwater lakes. But if it's hot enough outside, there's no lakes around, the only option is a swimming pool, you will definitely see me sitting by that pool, sipping on my lemonade in the sun with my sunglasses on and my hat, just enjoying the cool water and the beautiful day. I would like to know what you prefer. Do you prefer a pool? Do you prefer a lake? Maybe you live near the ocean and you love to go swim in the ocean. I'd love to hear your answers. So let me know in the comments, and thank you so much for listening.